Hello and welcome to Blank Plate, a podcast for Swifties with an appetite.
I'm Sara, and I used to be a little kid with glasses in a twin-size bed.
I'm Laura, and I'm a mess, but I'm the mess that you wanted.
And we've got a blank plate, baby, and we'll write your name. Welcome!
Hey.
All right, Laura, what's on your plate?
Welcome. Right to it. Well, first of all, it's a very, dreary, rainy day. Mm-hmm. I'm on my period. You're a dragon.
Yep.
Hopefully Taylor can make us come alive. So apologies if I'm feeling a little low energy. So that's what's really on my plate. But other things that have been on my plate recently. Well, this past weekend, I co-hosted a fall festival for a school fundraiser at my friend's farm that I got married at. So that was really nice. It was a beautiful day. We had live music, hay rides, a bunch of things, and we raised quite a lot of money. So that was awesome. And it really got me in my planner mode. And I think I'm a pretty good planner for the most part. So it makes me think should I be on community boards for stuff? Should I do more community involvement? I don't know. It's a lot because being a teacher is a lot, but
yeah,
it was fun and I liked planning it. So that was good.
Fall festival is very Gilmore Girls coded.
100%. Yes, absolutely. It definitely was the perfect fall day. We got so lucky because this on a rainy day, or it would have been fine. We wouldn't have had the amount of turnout that we had, but yeah, it was very wholesome Gilmore Girls coded experience for sure.
Yeah.
And then the day before with the toppings, we made salsa. So we made I don't even know how many jars, probably 75 jars of salsa. It was 6 of us dicing tomatoes, dicing habaneros, canning, all of it. And my mother-in-law's salsa is prized. So the fact that we're stocked for at least a year for the whole family was well worth it. So that's sort of been what I'm up to. How about you? You don't have anything big going on. Nothing crazy.
So this past weekend, Josh and I were lucky enough to meet Governor Tim Walz, aka America's dad, aka Kamala's running mate. So he came to Bethlehem for a rally, which is, that's where we did our pizza crawl the other weekend. Allentown's right next to Bethlehem. So yeah, I got to meet him, but even cooler than me was that Josh somehow was selected. He was one of 2 people who got to meet Tim Walz on the tarmac. So he was part of the greeting committee, the welcoming committee. So Tim Walz literally walked down the stairs from the plane and shook Josh's hand.
Iconic.
Yeah. But then I was part of what's called the photo line. So once he arrived at the place where the rally was held, I was back in some back room with a bunch of people in a line, and it was very fast. Josh met me there. So then we got to both go up, shake his hand, take a professional photo with him, and stuff. And all I could think of was Veep in this whole situation because we've got I think it was his chief of staff who was really rounding us all up. But then there were all these other volunteers and staffers and stuff. And just the fact that she's dealing with corralling this random group of people who are going to meet him. And then she has to announce our names. So we all have a card with our name on it. So, he knows who he's saying hello to and stuff. So ours was a little different since Josh had already met him, and Josh actually got to talk to him for 5 minutes. So I was bummed because I had something I was planning to say to him, and I half chickened out, but half just felt like I didn't have time because we were so rushed. It was shake hands. Oh, it's so nice to meet you. Pose for the photo. And there was a line and everything. So I didn't feel like I had a chance to say anything. But what I wanted to say was to basically thank him for speaking about his infertility IVF journey with his wife and how it has affected his family, because Josh and I have just started our own journey with infertility and treatments and IVF and all that stuff. So I just wanted to say, like, hey, like, we just started our own journey with this, and I just want to thank you for speaking about it, because it is really important, and it's great that you are sharing your own experience. And so, like, I'm really mad at myself that I didn't say that to him. And I feel like I took a photo with this man, but I don't really feel like I met him because it was so fast. But I will say he is extremely nice. He's exactly what you would expect. Josh pointed out that he's like taller than we thought he was. He's got to be like 5'11" or 6 feet. But thankfully, when Josh spoke to him, he did say that to him about the IVF stuff.
Oh,
so Josh got to have like a nice conversation with him about that on the tarmac. And Josh said he was great. He did tell him, like, hey, like, you know, it's going to work out. You guys are going to have a family. And but he was funny where he was like, I couldn't give my wife a shot in the ass, you know? And he said that I guess they had a neighbor across the street that he asked to like come over and help with that. So, you know, he's just very personable and humble, and he did a great job at the rally too. So, but yeah, that was just like my Saturday was meeting the,
you know, casual,
just, you know, meeting the governor who's running for vice president currently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun.
Also a huge Swiftie. You could have talked to him about Swiftiness, you know.
I know. Josh, we love him. That. Yeah. Like I don't know if I would have had the courage to be like, so are you really a Swiftie? You know, like I've got like 1 minute with this man and I'm like, can we talk about Taylor Swift?
I'm going to grill you about not your policy for a second and ask you the hard-hitting questions.
Right, exactly.
So,
what's your favorite Taylor Swift song?
Love it.
But yeah.
What's your go-to album? Mm-hmm. Right. I'm sure he will be asked that in the future. So we will eventually know the hard-hitting details. But that's awesome. Yeah, Sarah texted the group chat and was just like, go to minute 1 minute and 30 seconds in, and it's just Tim Walz running down the tarmac and immediately shaking her husband's hand. And I was like, what? I was like, wow, that is so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And what a guy. Like, I'm sorry. If Josh and you met another VP candidate, I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. But I love this man. I love this man. So I'm very excited. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Taylor news and updates. Nothing too crazy. Nothing really insane, like for once, which is kind of wild. I wrote down that Jack Antonoff has been dropping some recording lore on his Instagram. So he posted like this photo dump of Electric Lady Studios talking about his setup in there, and has a bunch of different photos. But in one of the pictures, Taylor is she's on the side, and she's like barely in the picture, but it has the date of 12/21/23, which I would assume is about the time of Tortured Poets Department finishing up. If you think about it, like, because that came out of, spring of 24. So they're probably tying up stuff there. Who knows? They might have been working on re-recordings. But it was interesting because the other person in this photo was this producer called Soundwave. His real name is Mark Anthony Spears. But he's a record producer and songwriter, and he is a frequent collaborator with Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce. He was one of the producers for Cowboy Carter. So I was like, that's interesting. I wonder if I didn't take the time to see if he was involved in Tortured Poets, but I was like, why would he be there? Is there a Beyonce crossover that actually is in the works that you know what I mean? That's like all of our dreams is to have a Beyonce crossover.
Right.
But yeah, that's sort of the only crazy stuff that's happened, right? Like anything else?
I just made a note that she's been wearing a lot of plaid because like her outfits lately, they've seemed like maybe they're related, maybe they're not. It's hard to find like a through line, but I think it was like since we recorded last, she wore a plaid mini skirt. And so I think that's maybe the third or fourth plaid item she's worn recently. So that could maybe hint at a new era. Isn't plaid known for being like a grungy rock thing? Like 90s grunge?
I mean, 90s trend, for sure. I mean, obviously you think of Scotland, but there's no way she's making Scottish Highland music. Like, no way, no how. But yeah, it's got like sort of that punk influence. It also kind of gives schoolgirl, like Britney Spears, a little bit, you know? Interesting. Not related to Taylor, but I also wanted to just spotlight the fact that Sabrina has now opened her tour. And have you watched any of the clips of her performing?
Only a couple. There's the one main one that's going around of the part in Juno where she was like, about different positions. And she's like, have you tried this one? And she gets down on the stage and stuff. And everyone's like, ah!
She's crazy. I just have to say the aesthetics of this tour is so her. Like, it's funny, it's witty, it's vintagey inspired. Even like the transitions between her certain songs, like she has these sort of like video cuts that introduce the next song before it begins that are really, really funny and well done. And they're always sort of like 1950s, 1960s, like vintagey inspired sound and look. They kind of look like commercials from that time period. I'm a big fan. I just think it's really well done. So kudos to our girl Sabrina.
I also know people are complaining that she only performs for like a little over an hour, but also her album is only like 36 minutes long, and not every tour is going to be the Eras tour. So it's pretty normal for someone to perform that long. So
I feel like our expectations have now we've now been spoiled by Taylor and Beyonce because that's the level that we expect when that is like the rarity when it comes to live performances. Like, that's crazy. That's not what we should be expecting from every artist. So that's crazy. Well, we're getting into a heavy hitter today.
We are.
We're talking about an early favorite of ours on Tortured Poets. We're talking about Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. So some context for the song. Obviously, it is on Tortured Poets. It's on the original album. It's track number 10. And it's been produced with Jack Antonoff. And Jack really went off on this one. I cannot wait to talk about it. The production is...
Yeah. And Taylor wrote this one by herself. So no co-writers on this song.
Right. Yeah. Only produced by Jack, and Taylor herself wrote all of it. So what are some of your like personal associations with this song before we get into it?
Well, in my mind, this song fits the theme of Tortured Poets being a Halloween album in my eyes.
Yes.
Also, like today is very Tortured Poets kind of a day. It's like, I would say folklore, but I wore sweatpants while I worked from home today for the first time this season. So it's like Tortured Poets is the fall folklore. Like Evermore is winter. Folklore to me is like fall, early spring, I guess. I don't know. But it's a Halloween album to me. So to me, this is fall. You go folklore, Tortured Poets, then Evermore.
Yep.
Seasonally.
Okay. I agree. I co-sign the seasons.
And for me, this was one of my top 3 faves after our initial listen. Like, if you go back to our first initial reactions to Tortured Poets episode, it was one of my top 3 that I listed. And I do love the like reputation-ness of this one. like you and I both clocked that for sure the first time that we listened. We were like, this song could be on Reputation. Especially like they're burning all the witches, even if you aren't one. I feel like this song is playing off of that lyric from Reputation for sure. So what about you? What are your personal associations?
Same. Immediately clock this as witchy vibes and rep coded. The themes, the topics, it just feels like it could have been a vault song on Reputation. The production is totally different. Like everything that Jack did behind the scenes is different and feels different than Reputation, but the theme and the content that it talks about is so rep coded. And to me, this song is so visual, like especially the chorus. So I leap from the gallows and I levitate down your street. Like when I remember first hearing that and being like, oh, I see it. Like, I visually see this happening. And I love how it's been illustrated on the Eras tour, like the background illustrations that have been used in this black and white charcoaly sort of sketch look. So I feel like these lyrics are very like clear and they draw a picture in my mind immediately. And I just feel like this is one of Taylor's magnum opuses that although it may not be the song that, you know, the general public knows, like Swifties know the importance of this song. So that's my like first initial just sort of takes on it. So before we talk about like the folklore of the song, I do have to give a huge shout out. There were two websites that they like cooked. They absolutely cooked. And they gave me so much insight. And I was like, exactly. Like they really distilled a lot of the thoughts that I was thinking. One is called Swiftly Sung Lyrics. And the other one is called Lyrics with Liv. And I just want to give them a shout out before we get into this because like there is so much that they helped us with. Anyway.
Credit where credit is due.
Yes, we give credit here. The folklore of this song, I mean, obviously the tone is like vindictive, self-deprecating. Like she is analyzing herself. It's very revenge hungry. It's vengeful. It's bitter. It's like very in your face. But yeah, like there's lots of theories. One that's probably the most obvious is that this is a song about the conflict Taylor feels about her perceived reputation and who she really is. Also like a deep dive into her relationship with the media and how both critics and fans have like demonized herself and villainized her actions. And of course her response to that. And then of course like the Snakegate of it all. Like it's she's definitely insinuating back to the Kanye and the
Look
Kim
what
of it
you
all.
made me do.
Exactly. And then this is one thing I don't really see. A lot of people think that this song is about the Olivia Rodrigo lawsuit, where she requested like credit on Olivia Rodrigo's songs. I didn't really see any of that in this. I mean, the only lyric that I was like, oh, okay, maybe was like, 'cause I'll sue you if you step on my lawn. But other than that, there's not too many threads to that one. I don't know.
Also, I thought that Olivia gave Taylor credit like proactively after the whole Paramore debacle.
Yeah.
I don't think Taylor was coming after her for that, which a lot of people don't seem to understand. I don't know. I'd have to like double check that one, but that's what I've heard. So, and like Taylor isn't publicly showing any kind of like animosity towards Olivia. I really don't think that she has any.
There's obviously some tension there between the two of them, but we don't really know anything about it. And to be fair, like there's way more obvious like connections here to Snakegate than this. So I don't know. I guess if we knew more
yes.
details, you might be able to read into it. But yeah, I think the moral of this song is like, you can't make a monster and then be surprised when that monster behaves like a monster. And she relates herself to like a caged animal. Like there's just like so much. But yeah, what are some of your thoughts on this?
Like, cause it is very coy, like, who's afraid of little old me? It should be something said by an innocent little girl. But in the song, she's addressing all the misconceptions and allegations about her cruelty in this like bold and aggressive way. And yeah, the way I'm thinking about this is, that with this song, it's like, who is afraid of little old me, which is how like you should think of her. But in fact, you should be, but you only need to be afraid of her because of everything that you've done to her. And she's had to react to it. Like,
right.
You know, she talks about the circus life and the asylum where she was raised. Like, she was made to be this way. And you wouldn't have to be afraid of me if you didn't turn me into this and force me to protect myself and react in this way. So like you were saying, like, don't create a monster and then be surprised when that monster acts like a monster. You know, like she didn't have to be this way. She could have just been this like innocent, you know, Taylor Swift who like just writes songs and stuff, but that's not reality. And she has had to, in my eyes, protect herself and stand up for herself. And then she's painted as this like monster or villain. And yeah, I think this song is definitely a reaction to that and this like conflict between how she is perceived. Although I think it has, thankfully, in the last couple of years with everything going on, it has changed a little bit. But that idea of her in the media versus who she actually is. Yeah.
Do you remember when we were like looking at the song titles and we were like, who's afraid of little old me? Like, is this going to be about Virginia Woolf? Blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Like when we were speculating all these song titles and like what they might mean. So like one thing that I did find interesting is that, okay, so Who's Afraid of Little Old Me is very similar to Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, the author, or Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf, right? And I feel like she kind of like ties these two together because like Virginia Woolf was kind of known for being this like really raw writer, like stream of consciousness, like kind of like throws it all out there. Just, you know, she's going to be really like truth telling, dropping bombs, which Taylor is. That is how Taylor writes music. And like the Big Bad Wolf huffs and puffs and blows your house down when you cross him. And that's kind of what she's insinuating too in this song. Like, whatever. Oh, and also interesting fun fact. The movie version of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf stars Elizabeth Taylor and her then husband, Richard Burton, aka Burton to this Taylor from Ready for It.
Ready for It.
I thought that was crazy. It's just a weird coincidence. So
yeah,
I thought that was cool.
To wrap up the whole folklore section of this song, I wanted to play a little clip from the first draft phone memo that she released of this song, which she really didn't say much about the song at all. But it's crazy how much of that version is still intact in the final version. But she did say a little bit about it at the very end. So this is what she said.
For the most part, that was sort of almost what it should be. I'm going to work on the melodies and the bridge so they don't become repetitive like that, but that's just the like framework, and I might take some things out. But yeah, just a song about being crazy.
Yeah. Just a song about being crazy. Yeah, so that's what we got from her about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that sort of gives us a clue that like she's aware of her own paranoia when it comes to her image and how she's perceived, you know?
Yeah. And this song is obviously not fully real. Like it's tongue in cheek, a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which of course some people are going to listen to the song and be like, oh my God, I can't believe she said that. Because they would sooner believe that she was like saying these things for real than to believe that Taylor Swift has a sense of humor. You know?
Yeah. What a crazy idea. Wild.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go in lyric analysis, verse 1.5. Here we go.
The who's who of who's that is poised for the attack, but my bare hands paved their paths. You don't get to tell me about sad.
All right.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, so this first line totally tripped me up for a while. I was like, what is she saying? What is she saying?
The who's who of who's that?
Yeah. And then eventually the connection of this lyric from 22 came to my head, and I was like, oh, now I understand. So go ahead and play that if you don't mind.
So I'm gonna play that again because it's kind of hard to hear because it's in the background. So Here, I'll play this again.
Yeah.
She says, "Who's Taylor Swift anyway?" Ew.
Yeah. And she wears that on her shirt now, which we love.
Classic line.
But yeah. So like it's talking about the haters, like the who's who of who's that?
Yeah.
Like
is poised for the attack.
Right.
Yeah. Like everyone's ready to come for her. That's how this song starts off.
Yeah. And then the next line, like, their bare hands, but my bare hands paved their path, immediately made me think of Nothing New. Like I paved the path and did all the heavy lifting for these newbies just so they could thrive and not have to be treated the way that I was. So here's that lyric.
I know someday I'm gonna meet her. It's a fever dream, the kind of radiance she only had at 17. She'll know the way and then she'll say she got the laugh from me. I'll say I'm happy for her, then I'll cry myself to sleep.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
My girls.
Yeah. My bare hands paved their paths. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Like, basically, there's some young buck who's going to, like, come up to me and say, like, they got the map from me. Like, they just looked at my career of how to do things. And, like, I'll say I'm happy for her, but, like, I had to deal with that. I had to, like, go through all the hard shit to, like, pave their path. So that's easier for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and when she says, you don't get to tell me about sad, I read this lyric as how people love to say that she has nothing to complain about because she's a hugely successful celebrity. So like, oh, she should just suck it up and take it when people criticize her. And they hate when she fights back about all that stuff. Like she's always like playing the victim. And just in general, like with celebrities or, rich people, it's like, what could you possibly have to feel sad about or something when it's like, well, I still have feelings and I still deserve respect and don't like it when people treat me this way, so I take that to mean like people trying to tell her like, you don't get to be sad about this, look at everything that you have.
I also take it as like, this is her first signal of like distrust of the people that are around her. Like, you don't get to tell me about sad. Like, she knows that people around her probably disguise their hatred, like, and they pretend like they're sad. Oh, oh, that's so sad, Taylor, blah, 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 blah. And that makes me think of this lyric from But Daddy, I Love Him.
I don't cater to all these vipers dressed in empath's clothing.
Like these people who are disguised as like being these empathetic, like caring people in her life are really just vipers, like waiting for her to fall apart. And I don't know, it makes me sad because I can imagine like, you know, we don't really keep people in our lives that we distrust.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no reason to keep them around, but like if you're in the Hollywood world, you don't really have a choice. So
right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the pre-chorus.
Okay, pre-chorus. Here we go.
If you wanted me dead, you should have just said. Nothing makes me feel more alive.
So good.
So before we get into the lyrics of this, I wanted to play this section from the voice memo to show like how locked in she was from the jump about what this song was going to sound like. Like you can really hear it in this. It's just her playing piano. She wrote this song by herself. She had a vision for it. And then when you hear the studio version, it's like, oh yeah, Jack worked with her to create the vision that she already had in her head. So this is what it sounds like when it's just her on piano.
If you wanted me dead, you should have just said. Nothing makes me feel more alive.
Yeah, like that is basically an acoustic cover of what this song's production is.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Dead ringer. Dead ringer. She knew what she wanted and she went for it. Yeah. Okay, if you wanted me dead, you should have just said. I love the fact that she doesn't say that. Like it's like she could have said, if you wanted me dead, you could have just said that. But she didn't. Which like you're like on the edge, you're like, what's she gonna say? What's she gonna say? And like, if you wanted me dead, I think of like the two career deaths that she's had. She's had Snakegate with Kim and Kanye, and then the Masters being stolen. Like, if you wanted me dead, if you wanted to put my career in the ground, you should have just said that. But nothing makes me feel more alive than when somebody tries to put me down. Because like, nothing makes me feel more alive when somebody wants me dead. And I love that play on words. I think that's like amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's definitely a reference to Look What You Made Me Do when she sings, honey, I rose up from the dead. I do it all the time. And then also like, where's the old Taylor? She can't come to the phone right now. Oh, because she's dead.
Can we just take a second and just remember that we are going to get a new version of that to listen to? Like, what? Do you think she's going to keep it exactly the same, or is she going to change it? Like, we don't.
Yeah. We don't really
It's going to be so great.
Yeah.
It's going to be so great. Anyway, what else did you say about this line, about the Time interview?
Yeah, it reminds me of what she spoke about in her Time Person of the Year interview, how these really hard times that she's gone through have brought her to some of the best points in her life, like the re-recordings. Like having her master stolen was an extreme low point for her. But now she's doing these re-recordings and the Eras tour and stuff, and like it has just like rejuvenated her career and made her excited and happy and fulfilled in this new way. And so that reminds me of the song Thank You, Amy.
But when I count the scars, there's a moment of truth that there wouldn't be this if there hadn't been you.
Yeah. It's funny when she said, when I count the stars, I think I was hearing that as when I count the scars. I don't know. But yeah, there wouldn't be this if there hadn't been you. You know, like the Reputation album would not have happened if Snakegate hadn't happened.
Right.
And now all these re-recordings and everything that's come from that would not be happening if she hadn't gone through this other terrible thing. So yeah, if you want to be dead, you should have just said, because nothing makes me feel more alive. Like, come for her, and let's see
I'm ready to
what happens.
Come for me.
Because good things always come from
let's
it.
go. Yeah. Okay, on to the first chorus. Here we go.
Okay.
So I leap from the gallows and I levitate down your street. Crash the party like a record scratch as I scream. Who's afraid of little old me? You should be.
I love this. Okay, like, what a witchy production. Like, I know we're going to save the production talk later, but, like, the production of this, everything
So
Jack does is so atmospheric. It is so good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We need a witchy playlist. We've got this song, Willow.
Yes. Mad Woman.
Don't Blame Me, maybe? Mad Woman.
Cassandra.
Which song actually does say they're burning all the witches even if you aren't one?
I Did
that-
Something Bad.
Oh, yeah, duh. That song.
Yeah. I mean, we need it. We need witchy Taylor playlist for sure, especially this time of year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Maybe we should do Is Taylor a Witch as an episode.
Yeah.
It is this time of year. We could do a witchy episode. Like, how fun would that be? Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
So this lyric is what really I was like, when this locked in, I was like, oh, this song is so good.
Yeah.
So I leap from the gallows and I levitate down your street. First of all, the use of your street and not the street. Like, I'm haunting you, baby. I'm haunting you. I'm coming for your neck. Okay. Okay. And also gallows. So gallows implies that she was either like waiting to be hung, aka she's a witch and she's waiting to be hung, sentenced to death in the court of public opinion. And she's managed to like escape it, or because like she's a witch and she can like cast herself off and like throw herself in the air.
Yeah.
Or she is actually dead. She's her soul has leapt from the gallows after she's been hung, and she's coming back from the dead to haunt your ass. Okay. It's giving rep.
Yeah. For sure.
It's so good.
I definitely read it as she is a witch. So she did escape the gallows before being killed and then levitated as a witch down the street to haunt everybody and be like, yeah, you thought I was a witch?
Yeah.
Turns out I am, bitch, and I'm coming for you.
Yeah, what now? So good. I mean, like, the fact that gallows were used to hang witches, she's never escaping the witchcraft, like, rumors. Like, she's just never escaping them. I mean, we mentioned this before, but here's just a roundup of some of the witch, like, comparisons she's made. So, like, one that we can't play because it's not Taylor's version yet is I Did Something Bad, which is they're burning all the witches even if you aren't one. And I think that's the first time she's actually mentioned witchcraft. I mean, we'd have to do our research for a later episode, but I'm pretty sure that's the first time she's mentioned it. And then we have this lyric from Cassandra.
When it's burn the bitch, they're shrieking.
Then Mad Woman, there's this lyric.
And women like hunting witches too, doing your dirtiest work for you.
Someone needs to mash those two up. Like, that's gotta happen.
I'm sure it already has.
Those songs, like,
well, even playing them back to back,
they're
like that,
sister songs.
you can tell that like they sound practically like the same song.
Yeah,
because they basically are. They have like the same
for sure
riff in them.
And then like crash the party like a record scratch as I scream. Like, that is the party is hashtag Taylor Swift is over party, orchestrated by Kim and Kanye. Like, can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Like, that's the party.
Right.
She's crashing the party and she's saying, no, I don't think so.
Right. Yeah. And you pointed out in the song look what you made me do. She says, you asked me for a place to sleep, locked me out, and threw a feast. What? Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That's they're throwing a party after she's been,
Yeah. Like
they're coming together. They're saying Taylor Swift is over party. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, and that lyric is saying like, I let you into my home, and then you threw me out and threw a party, which is definitely referring to the Kim and Kanye thing. Yep.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then, who's afraid of little old me? You should be. The octave play is so good.
Yeah.
Like, going up the octave.
When we first heard that, we were just like...
Chef's kiss. Like, no notes. 10 out of 10, no notes.
Yeah. Like, we knew early in this song when we listened that we were like, this song is it. Which is why it was one of our initial favorites. And also, I just want to point out, this is theatrical Taylor out to play. And she really amped it up a notch on the Eras Tour, which we will talk about. But like, yeah, talk about Female Rage the musical.
Oh yeah, this is theater girly coming out. Mm-hmm. Like, for sure. Okay, verse 2. Here we go.
The scandal was contained. The bullet had just grazed. At all costs, keep your good name. You don't get to tell me you feel bad.
Yeah.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
where to start?
Well, we've got the scandal was contained. The bullet had just grazed, which reminds us of this little lyric from Bad Blood.
Band-Aids don't fix bullet holes.
Yeah, bullet holes. You came for her neck. Mm-hmm. Okay. At all costs, keep your good name. I mean, that to me is like keeping your reputation, keeping a good reputation. Like, whatever it takes, you have to make sure that you're keeping up the appearance that everything is fine. And yeah, like, her good name was canceled because of Kim and Kanye. So, the Snakegate of it all is another callback. And like, I do sense a little bit of sarcasm and snark in keep your good name, because like, I can just tell that she's like kind of sick of upkeeping this perfect image, because like, she's constantly trying. I'm sure there are many times where she's had to field scandals in her career. And maybe that's exhausting for her. And, maybe this is a reflection on like her management that's saying, oh, like, the scandal's contained, the bullet is grazed, but you're not dead. We're keeping your good name. Everything's okay. Everything's fine. And like, I'm sure she's sick and exhausted of that. You know what I mean?
So I read it as her still, like, the you here is still who she's talking to. Like, who's afraid of little old me? You should be. I levitate down your street. Like, the you here is still everyone else. It's not about her. So I read it as the people who weren't willing to step into her fights because they wanted to preserve their own reputation. Like, the scandal was contained. The bullet had just grazed these other people. Like, at all costs, keep your good name. Don't come and help me when they're coming for me, the witch, trying to burn me at the stake.
Yeah.
Keep your good name, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end, she says, you don't get to tell me you feel bad. She's like, you don't get to tell me you feel bad about what's happening to me because you were too cowardly to do anything about it. Like, don't act like you feel bad about what's going on with me when you could have stepped in or done something, but you're staying out of it. right? And so that reminds me of another part of Cassandra.
They knew the whole time that I was onto something. The family, the pure greed, the Christian chorus line, they all said nothing. Blood's thick, but nothing like a payroll. But they never spared a prayer for my soul.
Yeah, so that, like, they knew the whole time that I was onto something, but they all said nothing. And then blood's thick, but nothing like a payroll really reminds me of at all costs, keep your good name. And then bet they never spared a prayer for my soul. It's like, you don't get to tell me you feel bad because you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you didn't do anything. So
yeah,
you didn't defend me. Right. I like that. I like that a lot. I think this verse, I agree. I think this verse, you could read it, step one, like the sarcasm talking about like keeping her good name and the tiredness of that. But with the added like context of Cassandra, yeah, this is definitely still talking about other people and their lack of empathy towards her and actually defending her in these like deaths of her career. And yeah, you don't get to tell me you feel bad. You didn't do anything. Like, yeah, you don't feel bad. You didn't do a thing, you know, you didn't spare a prayer for my soul. You didn't do a single thing. Okay. Pre-chorus 2. Here we go.
Is it a wonder I broke? Let's hear one more joke. Then we could all just laugh until I cry.
Okay. The fact that let's hear one more Joe. She's definitely saying Joe, correct?
Wait. Instead of joke, you think she's saying Joe?
Yeah. Let me play this again. Listen to it again, okay?
Is it a wonder I broke? Let's hear one more joke. Then we could all just laugh until I cry.
Like she's not quite enunciating that K on the end?
That is, I swear that is intentional. I think this could be reads on two things, okay? Ooh. Obviously, let's hear one more Joe. Like, who's the person who broke her? Joe Alwyn, okay? Or the more probable Joe is actually the comedian Joe Coy, who hosted the 81st annual Golden Globes. And Taylor was in the audience, and he made fun of her at the show, and like she basically like didn't react. She gave a blank stare, and was
sipped
like,
her drink, I think.
That's not funny at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Joe Coy, let's hear one more Joe. Let's hear one more Joe. Like, whatever, like laugh at my expense, like go for it. There are a lot of insinuations in other Taylor songs about people using her as like the butt of the joke and her having to deal with that. So like there's this line from You're on Your Own, Kid, of course.
The jokes weren't funny. I took the money.
The jokes weren't funny.
Yeah.
It also made me think of Mirror Ball, like how everyone's watching her like completely fall apart. Like the world gets to watch her break into a million pieces with this.
And when I break it's in a million pieces.
And then, of course, how did it end? All of us being like encroaching on like trying to unpack all the drama. Like, let's hear a joke about it. Like,
come one, come all, it's happening again.
So like this awareness of like, is it a wonder I broke? I'm the butt of everyone's joke.
Yeah, and
like,
then we also have it
go ahead.
In The Black Dog.
Were you making fun of me with some esoteric joke?
Yeah.
It's so sad, but I swear she sang Joe.
Interesting.
Now the lyrics on like AZ lyrics says joke, but she does not enunciate that K. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Well, something to think about.
Well,
sure.
All right. Here is chorus 2.
So I leap from the gallows and I levitate down your street. Crash the party like a record scratch as I scream. Who's afraid of little old me? I was tame, I was gentle till the circus life made me mean. Don't you worry, folks, we took out all her teeth. Who's afraid of little old me? Well, you should be, 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 you should be.
So good. Yeah.
She cooked.
She's cooking in that witch's cauldron.
She sure is. She's making a witch's boil, that's for sure. So the first part of this chorus is the same, right? Like, she went down the octave for Who's Afraid of Little Old Me. And then she adds this like addendum to this chorus. I was tame, I was gentle, to the circus life made me mean. Which, like, that's the first implication of the media, at least to me. You know, like, the media is a circus. Yeah. Yeah, what's your read on that?
Yeah, the media, just fame in general, too. And it is the opposite of, in writing for it, she says, I'm so very tame now. And the Red Tour had a circus theme. But again, it just comes back to, like, my thesis of the song, which is, like, you wouldn't have to be afraid of little old me. But this circus life made me mean and protective. And it has turned me into this.
Yeah. Also, don't you worry, folks, we took out all our teeth. So, like, I did some research. So apparently it was pretty common in, like, the Victorian era to, like, where these sideshows and traveling circuses would literally mutilate the animals and take their teeth out. And that way they couldn't bite the handlers or anyone in the public that came to see them. So, like, this implication of, like, she is a wild caged animal that is to be feared and gawked at, given no privacy, and always put on display by the media. But don't worry, guys. Like, she's a nice girl. Like, you don't have to fear her. We totally disarmed her. There's no way for her to actually bite back.
Yeah, like, she still has to put forward this, like, nice girl persona, which is kind of what Miss Americana was all about. So, like, even when she does fight back, she has to do it in a very specific way. And if she goes overboard, it won't be accepted. And she already toes the line or pushes the line of what people are willing to swallow with her when she fights back for herself. So, yeah, it's like, don't worry, folks. We took out all her teeth. Like, she can still only do so much to come back at all of this that is thrown her way.
Yeah.
Such a good line.
And I'm sure, like, being that level of famous makes you feel like a circus freak. Like, people gawk at you. There's no sense of, like, every time that woman walks out of her apartment, it's like a spectacle. So there is, like, that circus element of just, like, living her life, but then, like, to be constantly gawked at, but then also, like, the media telling her, like, don't worry, guys, like, she's not going to bite back. You can do whatever you want to her. Like, she's powerless. That's disgusting. So screw that.
Yeah.
And then we get to the bridge, which, like, we love a Taylor bridge. All right, here's the first part of the bridge.
So tell me everything is not about me, but what if it is? then say they didn't do it to hurt me. But what if they did? I wanna snarl and show you just how disturbed this has made me. You wouldn't last an hour in the asylum where they raised me. So all you kids can sneak into my house with all the cobwebs. I'm always drunk on my own tears. Isn't that what they all say?
Ugh.
Go off,
Taylor.
girl. So tell me everything is not about me.
So tell me everything is.
But what if it is?
But what if it is? Paranoia,
Girl,
anxiety,
it's paranoid.
like hello, like
Yeah.
They say they didn't do it to hurt me, but what if they did? Scream it, girl! Like, oh my god, the Eras tour up the octave.
Oh my god! Remember when we watched
it.
that live when she first performed it in Paris, and she did that? That was a moment. That was a moment.
That was a moment. The stomps where she's holding on to the little Roomba and she stomps down with it, and that's where we get that picture of female rage.
Yeah.
So good.
You know she lived.
She knew what she was doing because honestly, by going up that octave, yeah, to me, like, but what if they did is like her confirming that everything is about her. They did do it to hurt me. She's screaming it. She's like, confirmation. They did. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
You can't beat that moment in the Eras tour. Like, it kills every time. I love it.
No. The fact that we'll never see that live, Sarah, is so sad. Like, we'll never see that. Unfortunately. Ugh.
So this next line I love. I want to snarl and show you just how disturbed this has made me. When I was doing our notes, I had the realization that like a snarl, the definition of a snarl is to make an aggressive growl with bared teeth. So the thing is, she literally can't snarl because they took out all her teeth. She says, I want to snarl, but she can't because they took out all her teeth. Like, so again, saying that even when she fights back, she can't do it to the fullest extent. Like, we didn't pull this clip, but it reminds me of Seven when she talks about being young when, like, I wasn't afraid to scream. Shoot. This is like my favorite lyric. Why? Hold on. Let me pull this up because I need to get the actual lyrics for this. Before I learned civility, I used to scream ferociously anytime I wanted. And that's what she can't do anymore because they took out all her teeth.
And now she can't. And now she can't.
Yeah,
wild. Also, like, if you think about snarling, animals snarl to give a warning to the person that they're surrounded by, right? Like, I want to snarl, aka I want to signal to you that I am disturbed and I am angry and I am bitter and I'm upset, but I literally can't even give you that warning because you've removed my teeth. Like, I can't even warn other people about how bad this is.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. That's crazy.
Right.
Also, you wouldn't last an hour in the asylum where they raised me.
True.
Okay. First of all, the asylum is obviously like a metaphor for the industry, the media circus of like, especially when she was young, like when she was in her late teens and like young adulthood, when like the industry was a machine and it was this media circus surrounding with who she was dating, and she was this serial dater and this caricature of herself, and like that circus was like an asylum where she was shut up in. And then like the fact that TTPD like when we got those promo videos and we were like, oh, tortured poets department, it's going to be like an academic setting. And it was an asylum. And we were like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is happening, Taylor? Like, what are you doing? And that like psych ward, and then the Fortnite music video being set in an asylum. Like, this is obviously a tie back to that whole aesthetic, kind of like what you were saying before. Like, this is the vibe of TTPD.
Yeah. Halloween.
And the fact that you wouldn't last an hour. Like, you can't handle this. Like, no offense, but like you couldn't last a minute in what I've had to deal with.
No.
Period.
And this is why I wanted to bring up Chapel Roan, because no shade to Chapel, but she is struggling so much right now with this like crazy amount of fame that she's come into kind of overnight, which goes to show how well suited Taylor was for this and how practiced she is at this point in her life. Like, a lot of people could never handle what she has dealt with. That's why, like, no shade to Chapel, because Chapel is a normal human being who like has her own mental health struggles and stuff. And like, I think props to her for pointing out how she's struggling. Like, I'm glad that she's just being like, guys, this is hard for me, you know? And yeah, so like, it's not shade at Chapel. It's more like, look at how well Taylor Swift does this, because most people could not do this. You would not last an hour in the asylum where they raised her. You just wouldn't.
Yep. No. Yeah, like, Taylor is media savvy to the point where I'm sure there's inner workings of like things to avoid, certain topics that can never be discussed, like all that sort of like like the training of like how to handle a public persona. And like, the asylum also implies that like she's been placed there against like her will, or the fact that like asylum is like she's placed herself there for a reason. Right? Like, it is an interesting, like, she could have said you wouldn't last an hour in the circus where they raised me. She could have said you wouldn't last an hour in the prison where they raised me. You know what I mean? Like, there's a million other associations, but asylum implies like there is some serious like mental health distress happening in this space. Yeah. So I think that's a brilliant, and also like Taylor, we use this all the time, but like Swifties are currently in an asylum of our own making, because we are constantly reading into every single word that she says. Like, this is our own cuckoo crazy banana spot, but like, like asylum is a very important choice of words, I think. Yeah. Also, this broke my heart, okay? So all you kids can sneak into my house with all the cobwebs. I was like, oh, this is either literally implying her old house on Cornelia Street, where like fans literally go and pay homage to and like take pictures outside of where the cobwebs are, because like that love is dead and gone and buried. Or even probably more devastating, you can go and revisit all of my pain and all of my suffering through my music. So you can sneak into my house. You can sneak into the inner corners of my mind. Yeah. With all the cobwebs, where like my past loves and like all the dark thoughts that I've felt are still currently sitting, because I released it into the world. Like, that is so sad. That is sad. Imagine that. Like your most devastating moments are now crystallized in song version. And now all of us can go revisit all that pain and suffering anytime we want to. Right. Yeah. That's so sad. And then I'm always drunk on my own tears. Isn't that what they all said? Because haters are constantly saying that all she does is write songs about her breakups and like profit off of them. Yeah. And all she does is write about like ex-boyfriends and whatever. And again, constantly playing the victim. So yeah, like saying that she's always drunk on her own tears. Rude. Yeah. Also, like anyone who says that, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you just don't.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If someone says that, I'm like, that is so tired, dude. That is so tired.
It is.
Ugh, I hate that.
Yeah.
But the fact that people even say that, period, is like, I'm sure very painful as an artist, you know? Like, she writes a million things. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Second part of the bridge. Here we go.
That I'll sue you if you step on my lawn. That I'm fearsome and I'm wretched and I'm wrong. Put narcotics into all of my songs, and that's why you're still singing along.
So good.
I love that part.
Okay. I think the first line you have to remember the line before, which is, I'm always drunk on my own tears. Isn't that what they all said? That I'll sue you. Like, they, aka the haters, will also say that I'll sue you if you step on my lawn. aka, if you cross me, I will sue you. I will get litigious. I will protect myself at all costs. And that I'm fearsome. You should be afraid of me. And I'm terrible. And like, I'm the villain. And I kind of sense this sarcasm in that. Like, like she knows that in some people's world that she is a villain. Like, she is the ultimate bad guy. But she also knows that she's like, they're wrong. That these haters will tell you that I'm awful and I'm protective and that all I do is complain and I'm the victim. But like, they're wrong. So I'm singing this sarcastically.
You can even hear it in her voice, like the way she sings, like, and I'm wretched, you know?
Right.
She puts a little bit of like pizzazz on that word when she sings it. Like she's definitely mocking the people that say this stuff about her. And then the end of that where she says, put narcotics into all of my songs, and that's why you're still singing along. I love this part. I think it's like such a good breaking the fourth wall moment. Because like, of course, we're all singing along to this part, you know, listening to her music. Like, yeah, you're singing along right now, aren't you? Right?
Yep.
And I take this to mean how a lot of her haters don't think that she's good, despite her massive success. They're like, she can't sing. She's not even a good songwriter. Her lyrics are bad, which is like, that is the dumbest thing you could ever say about Taylor Swift's songs, is that she has bad lyrics. But anyway.
Really?
Her haters, it's like,
so stupid.
Yeah. But they think like, well, she must put drugs in her songs or something, because why are people so obsessed with her? Like, they don't believe that she could actually be good at what she does, that there's like some other reason for why people love her music, and they don't get it. So that's how I think about it. But this part also reminds me of this part of My Tears Ricochet. Can you play that for us?
And when you can't sleep at night, you hear my stolen.
Yeah, and that part's even like produced in a similar way. Also a Jack song.
Yeah, it is. I was actually going to say that. Yeah. The narcotics into all my songs is like exactly what you said. It's these haters saying like, well, there must be some, these people, like, they're ridiculous. Like, why would anyone love her music that much? Like, it can't be that she's actually an amazing songwriter. It's another excuse why people love her music. But also, like, I love that Swifties have basically taken that on as being like, yeah, she put narcotics, like, called me addicted. Here I am, like,
Yeah, we are
I'm
on drugs.
obsessed. Hello. Yeah, like so. Yeah. Okay, and then finally we have the final chorus to the end of the song. So let's listen to that and tie it on up.
So I leap from the gallows and I levitate down your street. Crash the party like a record scratch as I scream. Who's afraid of little old me? I was tame, I was gentle till the circus life made me mean. Don't you worry, folks, we took out all her teeth. Who's afraid of little old me? Well, you should be, you should be, you should be. 'Cause you lured me, you hurt me, and you taught me. Caged me, and then you called me crazy. I am what I am 'cause you trained me. So who's afraid of me? Who's afraid of little old me? Who's afraid of little old me?
It's so good.
Yes. Masterpiece.
So good. Okay, so another chorus that starts the same, and then we have these different added lyrics at the end, like, 'cause you lured me, and you hurt me, and you taught me.
Yeah.
First of all, luring someone is an interesting word because, like, of course, who wouldn't be lured into the celebrity spotlight? Like, fame, recognition, you know, fans, money, resources. Like, of course, like, you'd be lured by that. And you hurt me and you taught me. That made me think of another Thank You, Amy reference. So here's this one.
Scream thank you, Amy, to the night sky and the stars are stunning. 'Cause I can't forget the way you made me feel.
So, like, basically, thanks for that because you taught me
Yeah.
how to get over things. You taught me how to recover from the most terrible of terrible deaths and situations, you know?
Right.
But yeah, it's a sad, cruel world, I guess.
Yeah. And then you caged me and then you called me crazy. Has another callback to Mad Woman.
Every time you call me crazy, I get more crazy. What about that?
And then it's also kind of similar to part of This Is Me Trying.
They told me all of my cages were mental, so I got wasted like all my potential.
Yeah.
Which, by the
Cages.
way, just in general, like when I was pulling the clips for this episode, a ton of folklore references.
Uh-huh. Yes. A ton.
Yeah. Which, like, even though this song made us think of Reputation, there's actually so much of this content in the folklore album, which is interesting. So,
if anything, to me, this song is proof that Snakegate, aka the Kanye and Kim of it all, is 100% her Roman Empire. She is never going to let this go. Like, this is like, this is it. Like, this is her magnum opus reflection on that and how the media perceives her.
Yeah.
And you wrote the drum fill after you called me crazy.
I love it.
It's so good. It's so good. Oh my God.
I'm a Jack girly.
And
I love
then
it.
the ending. You are. And like Jack absolutely, when Jack jacks, Jack be jacking. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But like there's a reason why they're a duo the way that they are. Like they have a magical chemistry when it comes to the record production. Like they just do. Yeah. And then the ending is so like, I can't not imagine that Who's Afraid of Little Old Me with like her on the thing with her eyes like lit up in like the green glowy eyes. Like I can't not see it.
Yeah, and here she sings like what I'm calling the secret octaves, which like she pulled out in general for the Eras tour in the Tortured Poets section, where it's like these little parts of the songs where in the background she is singing up the octave, but she highlights that on the Eras tour to bring it forward, and it is so good, especially in this song. This song and The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived.
So good.
Ugh. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. It's like adding an exclamation point to a lyric that already was so good, and it just like exaggerates it a million times more. It's so good with that octave jump.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk for a second about how Jack be jackin' on this one. Like Jack be jackin'. He went off. He absolutely cooked. This song is so atmospheric. Like it's so like even the phrasing, like how it begins kind of like pulled back, and as the song increases, there's like these pauses of sound, like that I'm fearsome and I'm wretched. It's like he could have had a deliberate, beat behind all of that, but like pulling back deliberately and like making these phrases makes you really lean in and listen to what she is saying. And also like there's so many swirling cymbal crashes. The whooshing makes it sound very haunted and ghost-like. So I leap from the gallows. Like there's so many different synths and like these cymbal crashes that feel like a big whoosh is happening orchestrally. It's so good. Yeah. And then there's all these fun little twinkles that happen. And I mentioned this, but there's like this heavy bass line in certain parts of the song where it's like boom, 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 right?
Yeah.
That to me, like it makes me think of Giant on a Hill, aka callback to Antihero, where like she's stomping on their lawn, like she is coming to get you, like she's this enormous presence that is not to be missed. But like it just made me remember that. And then there's this super dense echo on her voice, like Jack, like I've hated on some of the Jack songs, but this was this was a masterpiece. So
yeah, well
it's so good.
My note in this section was just in all caps, yes, Jack, let him cook.
So good. And like as much as I loved this stripped back rawness of Taylor's voice memo that she released, you could see that she had a clear vision for this song. She knew the structure, she knew what the melody would sound like. When you add Jack's production, that's how we get the witchiness of all of this. That's how we get the magnificence and the power that comes with this song. Like, it's so good.
Once again, a masterpiece. What can we say? So we've already talked a bit about it on the Eras tour, but we have to discuss the Roomba.
The Roomba. The mirrored Roomba. Okay, wait. That is actually genius because, like, the mirrored Roomba does two things, okay? Artistically, it reflects all of the faces of ourselves. Like, we see ourselves, right? Which is kind of like her casting the, like, being like, you're part of the problem. Like, take a minute. Like, take a minute and look at yourselves. Okay. Also, second, I'm sure Homegirl's like, how do I add a whole section of this album without having to learn a bazillion new choreography numbers? Yeah. Put her on a Roomba. Right. Put her on the Roomba. Like, just let her go whoop, 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 whoop around, and everyone's going to love it. And we did. So genius Roomba. Love it.
You can just tell how much fun she has in this part. And it's near the end of the show, and she puts so much energy into this. Like, it must be so cathartic when she does this. Like, imagine if she's having a bad day. She gets to that part and she's like, babe, I'm letting it all out here. It's coming out when I scream these lyrics. And she's like holding on to that pole, her like half of a stripper pole that sticks up out of the Roomba so that she can lean on it and like allow her like arms to be free and stuff. It gives that appearance of her actually floating, because also the mirrored bottom of the Roomba makes it look like the whole thing is floating. So she's levitating. This makes me want to go back and watch one of the really good TikToks of the whole performance of it. Oh man, it's so good. I love it. Should we go on to our favorite lyric and rating of the song?
Yes, we shall. So my favorite lyric is not anything. It's not anything witty. It's literally just the synopsis of this song, which is this.
You should be.
Period. Period.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's it.
It's really good.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Yep. And then what is your favorite lyric?
Well, will you please play it for us?
Put narcotics into all of my songs, and that's why you're still singing along.
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about it before, but I love this lyric. I love the breaking the fourth wall moment. I love the way she goes up like that, like for singing along. I love how it reminds me of that part of My Tears Ricochet. Like, it's so good. It's probably the part of the song that makes me like smile the most when it comes on. Like, oh, Taylor, you know? Yeah, that's my favorite. And so I gave this song a 9 out of 10, which is pretty
And I gave it a 9.1.
Okay, what is up with your 0.1? Why 9.1?
Oh, just because I've been giving point whatevers to my other scores. No reason in particular. To me, giving it just a 9 would be underselling it, because like I do think this is an important song in Taylor's, discography. Like that, this is obviously important for her to write. It's a reflection on how the media perceives her at this moment in time. And like the production value of this song, like giving it a 9 was not enough. 9.1 felt right. So
I get it.
That's generally what I'm gonna say. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. This was the first time where I gave my score and I didn't change it to be higher later. So
yeah, you knew right away what it deserved. So that's good.
I was like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This song as a recipe. If this song were a recipe to me, or a food item, I should say, I said that this song is 100% dark cacao. Okay?
Okay.
On the surface, you're like, ooh, chocolate, yum, like delicious. No, because it's really bitter, acidic, aggressive, dark, like everyone thinks it's like, who's afraid of little old me? Oh, chocolate's delicious. It's like, no, girl. Like, I am 100% dark cacao. I am bitter.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's what I thought of personally. Yeah. And I am so curious to know what the heck yours is about.
Okay. So I also picked a food product and not a recipe. Okay. So this is so funny to me. I was trying to think, like, I really do think of this song as being kind of like that neon green that she uses lights that color a lot in her performance of this song. And that's like that like witchy color. So I was trying to think of like something that was that color, maybe like, you know, some weird drink that color or something. And then I remembered Ecto Cooler from the 90s. Did you not ever drink this?
I don't think I have.
Okay. So me and my brothers were obsessed with this when I was little.
Okay.
And I mean, if you're like, I have a picture of it in our notes that Laura can see, but if you're listening or whatever, you need to Google this if you don't know what I'm talking about. Which I did not realize this was part of the whole like marketing for the original like 1989 Ghostbusters movie. So this is a high C beverage.
Crazy.
That was that color green.
Okay.
But it was like tangerine flavored.
Okay.
It's a citrus beverage, but it is like neon green. And it was called Ecto Cooler. And on the packaging of it is the character, I guess, Slime from Ghostbusters. So it's like this green, creepy character, which looks like her like levitating down the street and like, you know, crashed a party with a record scratch as I scream. Like, it's this like really creepy looking character who like floats along, who represents this beverage, and it's lime green colored, even though it doesn't taste like lime. It tastes like orange. But yeah, so
it's so 90s. It hurts.
Yes.
It's so 90s.
Yeah. But I guess it came back in 2021, like with the newer Ghostbusters movie. And it was around for a while.
Yeah.
But I did put a picture in our notes.
I'm reading this Wikipedia page.
Yeah, we'll link to this. But yeah, I did not realize until today that it was a Ghostbusters thing, because in my mind, it's just a thing from my childhood called Ecto Cooler.
Yeah. So crazy. I missed out, apparently. I don't think I've ever had this. Crazy.
Yeah, well, you were probably just a little too young for it, and you didn't have an older brother who was obsessed with like Ghostbusters and stuff like I did. So
yeah, that's true. Just barely missed that demographic, but this is straight out of the 90s, so that's amazing. Just learned something new today. Okay,
there you go.
Well, I think our next episode has to be witchy vibes. I think next episode's got to be, like all the witchcraft of it all, like all the witch vibes going back in the day. Because I mean, think about it. That episode would be coming out probably during Halloween weekend, or
probably.
Halloween week, I guess. Yeah. So
right around there.
Yeah,
so,
let's do that.
Okay, you mean like talk about like all the ways that the universe has lined up perfectly for Taylor that makes us be like, she's a witch.
Yeah, all the sinistry of it all, the lightning crashes of it all, the mentions of witches and Halloween vibes in her songs. So, yeah. And then I think we should do a Halloween spooky, scary little food. What's our favorite trick-or-treat snacks? Like if we had our trick-or-treat bundle, what would be our favorite bundle or something like that? Anyway.
That sounds good. Okay.
Let's lean into the Halloween of it all. Okay, y'all?
Let's do it. I love it.
So, you have that to look forward to, everybody.
Cool.
There you go.
All right.
All right, let's sign us out. Here we go. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you so much for joining. If you'd like to follow the pod, to support the pod, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Blank Plate Pod on TikTok and Instagram.
And you can check out our website at blankplatepodcast.com. Please send us an email at blankplatepod@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 717-382-8313 to share all of your Taylor thoughts. And don't forget, you can also text us at that number.
Yes. And until then, we've had the time of our lives with you.
and you know it's time to go. So, bye.
So bye. Bye.
Bye.